Hello and welcome to EngLearn. You and a blank piece of paper. This very notion is enough to cause discomfort for most students I know. Now take that and add that the blank piece of paper in front of you is your English exam and you're supposed to fill it with more than 1,000 of your own original, advanced, beautiful words, and we're in full-blown anxiety territory. No worries, I'm here to help, and by the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer idea on how to conquer the fear of paper and complete paper 2 with confidence and ease. Firstly, this video will be based on a sample shorter writing task in question 1A of paper 2, but all the advice here will be equally useful for the extended writing task in paper 2. Also, since many students recently have been asking about writing a reflective commentary, I have to point out that doing 1A well means that you will be able to do reflective commentary easily and quickly. Question 1A not only carries more points, but it also provides the basis for all the analysis you'll do in 1B. If you do this part well, 1B practically writes itself. Let's look at the sample question. Question 1 says, you have recently read an article in class about fighting bad habits. Your teacher has asked you to produce a leaflet with advice for teenagers on how to stop their bad habits. Write the text for the leaflet using no more than 400 words. In your writing, give advice and encouragement for getting out of bad habits. So, you have your task and you have your blank paper. The success of your writing depends a lot on one key skill: planning. In this video, I will show you what a well-crafted plan looks like and how you can use your plan to hit all the important points and ensure you get high marks in this section. So, how do you write your plan? You start from the end goals in your mind. Those end goals are the assessment criteria based on which you will get your grade. These are the elements the examiners are grading, including complex structures and less common vocabulary, accuracy in writing, organizing your writing well and developing your ideas fully, fulfilling the task and making the content relevant throughout, and engaging the audience. To achieve these, the first thing you will need to take into consideration are the big text elements: text type or genre, audience, purpose, and tone. All these can be found in the task itself and will be the basis of everything you will do later on. Let's pretend I'm a student and I'm writing my plan. The text type is a leaflet. As with any other kind of writing, my text needs to be organized into paragraphs. I'll organize the advice I'm supposed to give into a list. In a leaflet, each paragraph, meaning in this case each piece of advice, will need its own subheading. That's great because subheadings will help me organize my points and help the reader follow my writing more easily. The primary audience are teenagers. But my teacher can also be seen as the secondary audience since she set the task. The purpose is both to inform and to persuade, or in this case to motivate. The tone is encouraging, motivational, and uplifting. All of these have a direct influence on the register I will use throughout the text. My register needs to be informal, yet school appropriate. Occasionally, especially when I'm offering official information and wish to sound credible, I can slip into a somewhat higher register, but mostly I'll keep it informal to get close to my audience and persuade them to listen to my advice. Now that I'm fully aware of the whole text elements, I can focus on the content of my leaflet and what information I want to share and in what order. I need to write only 400 words, so it will suffice to have a short introduction and 3 paragraphs in the main part. I probably won't have time to write a conclusion, but I will fit some concluding remarks in the last part of the last main paragraph. I will take a minute or two to brainstorm some ideas about how to change bad habits. All these are good ideas, but I don't have the time to write 5 paragraphs, and it's better to have 3 well-developed ideas than 5 poorly developed ones. I'll choose the ones I think I can develop well. Now, I need to figure out how to actually organize my writing. I need to start with an introduction, and the introduction's main purpose is to help me get close to my audience. So I'll think of a personal anecdote to position me at the same level as my audience and help me seem friendly and relatable. Most students have a problem with putting studying off for the last minute, so I'll use that example. I'll say that I failed a very important exam because of that bad habit to create an emotional impact and make the audience feel like the topic is really important. I'll mention that I've improved and that I have straight A's now, so I'll have credibility and seem knowledgeable about how to get rid of bad habits. When telling stories, people often veer away from the original topic, so I need to make sure my content is relevant for the task and take extra care to ensure that I stick to the topic and don't go over the word limit by making this part of the text too long. How will I order my advice? Maybe I can start with the environment. That seems like an important change. I'll make up some psychologist and cite a quote from their book that mentions the importance of changing the environment when you want to change bad habits. In reality, I don't really know any psychologists and I haven't recently read books about that, but quoting any real-life name of a person will make my text more believable. This, of course, goes for any other persuasive or argumentative text too. As I mentioned many times, in any kind of writing, you need to be very specific. So I'm going to make sure to give examples to support my advice. I'll list 2 or 3 different kinds of habits in which people might benefit from a change in the environment, like overeating or social media addiction. I'll make sure to give specific ideas on how a change in environment will help people get out of these bad habits. That will show the examiners my ideas are well developed. I want my writing to flow smoothly, so out of the remaining 2 changes, I'll choose surrounding myself with positive people to be the second one on the list. That's because it's easy to make the transition from changing the environment to changing the people too. Here I might refer to the habit of smoking and give an example related to that habit. In the 3rd paragraph, I'll look at setting goals and visualizing success. I'll make sure to finish off on a very positive note so my readers are encouraged and inspired. This will help me fulfill the task requirements and ensure I get points for making the task relevant and fulfilling the purpose. So now I've sorted out my whole text elements and I have an idea of what I will put into each of my paragraphs, but if I'm not careful, I might end up with a text that is satisfactory content-wise, but doesn't contain any complex vocabulary, grammatical structures, or language devices that reflect the genre and purpose of the text and that I can explore in my reflective commentary later on. To ensure I will use all of these elements, it would be useful to plan them. For complex structures, I can think of a few complex structures I'd like to use right off the bat. For example, the use of the present perfect continuous tense, I have been doing, is very useful for habits because it fits with the context of people having started a certain habit in the past and still continuing doing it. In every single text I write, I should make sure to use at least one well-structured sentence using parenthetical clauses. That will show the examiners my good command of sentence structures. Since habits are a very emotionally charged topic, it would be a good idea to use a short, simple sentence for emotional impact too. I'll probably fit that into my introduction where I speak of my own failures caused by bad habits. Inserting a short sentence amid longer, more complex ones will make my readers sympathize with me and connect with my experience on an emotional level. I will also write down some more complex punctuation which I will cross out as I use it. This doesn't take much time if practiced beforehand and will ensure my punctuation is varied and complex. When it comes to language, I will go back to my ideas for the content of my text and try to brainstorm some more complex lexes relating to the topic of habits, failing, and psychology in general. Here are some ideas I might come up with. I have a bad habit of postponing studying, so that's called procrastination. But then I had a wake-up call, so I've overcome that challenge. Challenges can sometimes feel overwhelming. And when it comes to people, toxic people can undermine our attempts for change. Our environment can be a trigger for bad habits because we may feel different cravings, and those cravings can hinder our progress. On the other hand, good habits are beneficial, and positive people can be empowering and hold us accountable. This seems like a pretty good list of high-level vocabulary I might use. And even if I spell some of these words incorrectly, the examiners will still appreciate the fact that I put effort in and will not penalize me because my language is varied and complex. Notice that some of these words have very strong positive connotations and some of them have very strong negative connotations. I can use that in my analysis in 1B later on. I also need to think of what possible rhetorical devices I might use. You've probably heard of acronyms for persuasive devices like a forest, the forest, or a ripe forest. If you haven't, ask your teacher or Google online. Keep those in mind whenever you're writing a persuasive text, and then just pick and choose the ones you're most comfortable with. I'll use anecdote at the beginning, a rhetorical question, some hyperbole, like saying that everyone looks at their phones 1,000,000 times a day, some made-up statistics, and expert quotes for credibility, and an imperative at the end for encouragement. Finally, I'll write a short reminder for myself to proofread my text to ensure I check the accuracy at the end. And there you have it. A beautiful plan that will not only reignite your inspiration, but really help you with organizing and crafting your answer. And if you go back to the assessment criteria we mentioned at the beginning, you will have all of them covered. We engage the audience by planning the introduction, the anecdote, and informal register. We organize our text into clear paragraphs and provided specific examples in each paragraph to ensure our ideas are well developed. We fulfill the task by providing advice and encouragement. We included complex words and structures as well as interesting language devices. And we ensured accuracy by proofreading our text in the end. A word of warning though. If you're watching this video 2 days before the exam and you haven't practiced writing plans on time, please don't rely on this method. Without practice, you will probably take too long to write a plan and jeopardize your chances of success. Whatever the case, never take longer than 10 to 15 minutes of your exam time for planning this section. Planning is important, but if you take too long, you will lower your marks instead of increasing them. If you're strapped for time, just do the quickest version of the plan possible, start writing, and hope for the best. You will still benefit from the video because you will hopefully remember some points that you need to pay attention to. If this video was useful, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and support me on Patreon. Best of luck in the exams and happy exam season, everyone!